What's good, everybody? I'm Brandon. Today I'm doing a video from Top Trending. This video right here is titled 10 Weirdest Mansions in the World. Y'all requested it, don't trip, you know, I got y'all. Now, I know a lot of people gonna be like, Brandon, why the background looks so different? I decided to record videos in the living room. I mean, I'm in a different room. What can I say? You know what I'm saying? I told y'all, I have a whole house to myself. I'm paying, like, I live in a house by myself. A 3-bedroom, 3-bathroom house. So, I mean, I usually record in the bedroom that I sleep in, but I was just in the living room. I was playing God of War, and I was like, oh shit, let me do some reactions real quick before it gets too late. Anyway, I'm ready to see this 10 weirdest mansions. When I get rich, I'm gonna make me, well, it's not gonna be a mansion, but it's gonna be I want a modern home. I want a 2-story modern home. I think the modern home looks so fucking beautiful, personally, and I want a modern home. You know, I'm gonna design my own home. I'm not gonna buy a home that's already designed. Let's say I buy a home, I'm gonna tear it down completely and build the type of home that I want to live in. Anyway, I'm ready to hop on into it. Let's go.
Not every mansion is a palatial 25-room estate. Some are designed with more eclectic tastes in mind.
That's low-key
while they're still
fire.
amazingly comfortable places to live, any visitor will likely be more interested in the architecture than the couches and beds. Here
The
are the 10
Bat
most
Cave?
bizarre mansions in the world. You've heard about rising water levels and melting ice caps, but what can you do about it? You could prepare for a nomadic waterworld lifestyle, but since that involves drinking your own filtered urine, you probably shouldn't. Instead, how about moving into a floating mansion that's powered by the sun? Called ARCA, this giant houseboat is essentially that, a modern-day Noah's Ark designed to protect its inhabitants against the worst and wettest.
I would love to live on the water.
Series of hydraulic pilings that can either dig into the ocean floor or raise the house up above the waves. So if you grew up watching Looney Tunes and wishing Daffy Duck would sell you a push-button home that can rise into the sky, here's your chance, and it will only cost you $5.5 million.
I would love a house like that.
The ability to raise your home higher and higher would prove mighty helpful as sea levels rise ever higher as well. Some climate
I'm a Pisces. I would love to live on top of the water.
Come 2100, particularly in places like South Florida, where the ARCA was designed and is currently docked. If that happens, living in a place that can rise with the tide will prove mighty helpful indeed.
That is
Plus, its
so
super sturdy windows are
dope.
resistant to hurricane winds of up to 155 miles per hour. If climate change affects our waters as much as experts say it will, life-threatening hurricanes are likely to be commonplace soon enough. If the ARCA can
I
handle
want
that,
to live
then
on
it's
top of the
worth every
water,
penny.
man.
When you are a billionaire, you can get away with just about any housing design you have in mind. Many prefer normal-looking mega mansions, but then there's Vladislav Dornin, the Russian CEO of Aman Resorts. He decided one day that he would like to live in a giant spaceship, and so he had it built.
That's fucking dope.
For a lack of imagination, Doronin's 28,500 square foot mansion is described on its architect's website as fluid geometries emerging from the landscape and remaining partially embedded within the hillside.
That is
Apparently,
so.
it's not professional enough to just say our client lives in an Imperial Star Destroyer from Star Wars.
That's so
Nevertheless, we're
dope.
going to say exactly that, because come on, what else could this non-humble abode possibly resemble? The 72-foot tall lookout tower portion of this mansion simply makes it look even more like the preferred battle vehicle of the dark side.
That's so
It doesn't
tight.
sound like Doronin had space in mind.
That's so
His
tight.
request to his architect was simply, I want to wake up in the morning and just see blue sky. How the architect got Spaceship out of that when the sky is extremely not blue in space, I don't know. But I'm also super glad he did.
I would too. That's so dope. These
As
homes are
beautiful as
tight.
many mansions are, they can suffer from monochrome patterns and an overall sameness. Not so in El Alto, Bolivia, where a local architect set out to create the most colorful, charismatic mansions he could imagine, and he most certainly delivered. Architect Freddy Mamani Silvestre's mansions are popularly called cohetillos, which is Bolivian for spaceships. One look at them and you'll see why. Each home is covered in dozens of crazy colors, non-traditional window shapes, bizarre rooftops, and unpredictable patterns.
That shit is
They truly
tight.
look like spaceships, or maybe a castle run by an alien overlord. His mansions aren't at all boring on the inside either.
That is so tight. I want to live in a house that's so different.
Pillars and columns, and more colors than an extra large box of crayons. Every inch of a Silvestre mansion is a feast for your eyes. But he doesn't just design this way for kicks, or because most other buildings in the area look alike. His intention is to introduce indigenous culture into a modern world. The timeless Andean and Tiwanaku styles he uses really stand out against a sea of functional ticky-tack. Silvestre has built over 70 of these spaceships so far, each one completely different from the next, and shows no signs of stopping.
That
so
is
if
so
you live around
tight.
Bolivia or plan to move there and have the $300,000 to $600,000 he asks for per place, you
That's
get to make
it?
an architectural
300 to
masterpiece
600,000?
like no other.
It ain't millions.
Those
California.
supervillain lairs built right into a mountain, the kind where Blofeld would bring James Bond to for torture and unnecessary exhibition. Well, one exists for real, and if you want to see it, you simply need to visit California's Joshua Tree Desert. No license to kill required. Designed in 1988,
I wouldn't live in
but
a
not
desert,
truly
though.
finished until the early 2000s. This 4,600 square foot mansion, officially called the Desert House, looks like it was carved right from the mountain. Its copper walls and roofs look almost exactly like stone slabs, and the roofs jut out far beyond the house itself, providing plenty of cool shade for its inhabitants. From a bird's eye view, it may be difficult to even see a house there at all. The designer's goal was to make the house seem like an organic part of the desert. So mission accomplished. Plus, since the home stands on 10 acres of land, your only neighbors are miles of Joshua Tree Desert. You'll be free to carry out all your evil schemes in absolute privacy.
Yeah, I'll bring people there and kill them.
Super villainy, with foreboding ceilings, crazy spirals, alien-looking chandeliers,
I'll bring
and
people
sharp
there
edges
and
seemingly
trap them in my
everywhere,
dungeon
even on
and
the
kill
chair
them.
legs. The designer's website calls the interior warm and intimate, and it probably is once you hang out there. But let's face it, it looks like a place you'd extract top-secret information from your enemy in. Don't expect to move into this place anytime soon, sadly. It was purchased for $3 million in 2014 by a Manhattan beach couple, who, according to the New York Times, wish to preserve it as a work of art. If you want a stylishly evil lair to carry about your stylishly evil schemes, you're just gonna have to build one yourself.
Dr. Seuss House?
Would you live inside this house? Would you live there with a mouse? Don't worry, that's my one and only Dr. Seuss rhyme. But I had to do it because this mansion looks exactly like something the good doctor would have drawn for one of his books. Technically called the Goose Creek Tower. Everyone who isn't the owner calls it the Dr. Seuss Tower. How else could you describe this thing?
This is my least favorite so far.
Built on top. Then there's another smaller house on top of the second house. And this pattern continues until there are 4 increasingly smaller houses piled on top of one another. If that's not head-scratching enough, sitting on top of the 4th house is a 185-foot tower. You may be wondering what Seussical masterpiece the designer ripped
How the
this
fuck
house
do you
from.
even get up
The
there?
answer is none of them. People don't call it the Seuss House because it came from any particular story. They call it that because it could have come from one. Though if any Seuss character would live here, it would probably be the Cat in the Hat. He could use all that extra tower space to store his giant hats. But what is it used for? Well, according to owner and designer Philip Wiedner, he wants to install a telescope at the top, as well as launch a ham radio station. He wants to call it Radio Free Goose Creek. But I think Radio Free Whoville makes far more sense. Technically, the Seuss Tower isn't finished, not that Wiedner minds. He sees the mansion as less a place to live and more a poem to the sky. In other words, don't expect him to place it on the market anytime soon. But maybe you could convince him otherwise. I will pay $1 million. I will pay you all in ducks. Sorry, Seuss rhyming is simply too fun to resist.
Batcastle? This is
Who
so
doesn't love Batman?
fucking
Besides all the criminals of Gotham, I mean. But Caped Crusader is so popular, it makes perfect sense that somebody designed a mansion based on him. San Miguel's Steve Rude did just that, building his very own Bat Casa. It's a 2-story home with the Batman symbol displayed prominently out front. That said, it doesn't exactly look like the grim and dark Batman
I thought it
we see in movies and
was.
comics. Rather, this bizarre 1,500 square foot mini mansion looks like something out of an art gallery, with wavy white walls that simultaneously melt into one another and attempt to pull itself apart like cheese in a mozzarella stick. This bizarre aesthetic continues as you venture inside. Everything looks like it was fused together, with strange shapes, curves, and hundreds of sculpted branches twisting and dancing together to form a living space.
The inside is
unlike
just
any other.
okay.
It almost
It's
looks like
creative,
you're
but
living in a
I don't
plaster jungle.
I don't
Also,
necessarily
you're
like it.
sleeping in a bed built right into the plaster. In that sense, it does seem like you're living in a grand cave, though not the kind that would attract glum martial artists dressed like bats. The Bat Casa is so unique, it's become a local landmark, and you can stay there too, albeit briefly. While the Bat Casa is not on the market, you can rent it out for around $90 per night on average.
That's
for a
it?
place with 3 bedrooms, 2 baths, and the craziest aesthetic this side of an abstract art gallery, that's a downright bargain.
I might have to go there and stay like a weekend.
Living in the mountains is hard. Living near a mountain, however, inside a luxury mansion over 100 feet in the sky, surrounded by trees with no nosy neighbors, is both easy and desirable.
Yeah, that shit
Officially
look
known as
hard.
the
I like
Pausolaro
that.
House,
I like
they call
that.
this 10-story estate the Falcon's Nest instead, and for good reason. It features living quarters that reach up to 124 feet in the air, a 2,000 square foot solarium that looks like a nest, and a tower atop that might as well be a majestic falcon. Set against a backdrop that includes the 6,500-foot Thumb Butte Mountain, Living here is essentially like living inside a movie. The Falcon's current owners are asking for $1.5 million, which is a fair chunk of change. But whoever pays that much is getting some primo living space with 6,200 square feet that includes 3 bedrooms and 4 bathrooms, not to mention a main floor with a 300.
I want to live in a completely different type of home too. That's why I said I want to. That's why I said I want a design model. I want it to look so different.
Makes everything extra worth it.
Orange County?
If you're a 90s kid,
it's like 45 minutes away.
You probably think living in a water tower is more a punishment than a luxury. Well, the genius architects behind the Sunset Beach Water Tower in Orange County, California, beg to differ. They turned a musty old water tower into a legitimately luxurious spot to live. The 87-foot-high PCH water tower was once a regular old tower that stored upwards of 75,000 gallons of water at a time. It's more than 300 tons. But in the late 1970s, all the water went elsewhere, and the tower just stood there by its lonesome, watching over us like a forgotten Greek god. That is until the 80s, when some investors decided to revamp it into a cozy private home. They later sold it to a retired fire chief named Gerald Wallace for $800,000. He then attempted to flip it for up to $8 million. He ultimately settled for $1.5 million, meaning that he still made money on the deal.
Yeah,
especially considering he had been renting the place out for a mere $4,000 per week. The inhabitants of this tower get a lot for their $1.5 million. Despite looking exactly like a water tower on the outside, inside you'll find 2,800 square feet of living space. This includes 3 bedrooms, a 145-gallon aquarium, and a party room featuring a fire pit that you can mechanically lift up when it's time to dance. Plus, the view of Sunset Beach simply can't be beaten. Unlike Yakko, Wacko, and Dot, you won't feel stuck inside this place. Instead, you'll feel like a monarch, looking down on your subjects while enjoying all the finest parts of life.
That's kind of upside down house, Beverly Hills, nigga. Beverly Hills, 20 minutes away.
Home setup. Living room and kitchen on the bottom, bedrooms on top. Well, here's a mansion that flips that setup on its head, literally. Located in Beverly Hills, California, this upside-down house features its living quarters on the top floor, placing the bedrooms on the lower level. That's probably a little jarring when you first move in, though it does make sense. After all, if you're so tired that you just have to go to bed now, why would you want to climb a bunch of stairs to get there? That's not the reason this $3.2 million mansion's architects designed their house this way, though. The area they built on contains over 100 oak trees, all of which are federally protected from lumberjacks coming in with their axes and turning them into toothpicks. So to build a multi-floor estate, they had to build one of the floors directly into the hillside. And since the only Earth-level floor is entirely see-through, it wouldn't make for a ton of privacy when getting your sleep on. But if you're sleeping in the basement, surrounded by protective greenery, you have as much privacy as you need.
That's so
it's not
fucking dope.
An upside-down house like Dracula's Castle in Symphony of the Night, it's still mighty bizarre in its own right. Plus, it features no evil vampires, which is always a plus when looking for a comfortable place to lay your head. Living in a spaceship is one thing, but living in a giant battery is quite another.
That's giant battery?
The only way to describe Germany's Heliotrope, both in shape and function. This 48-foot-high mansion is literally battery-shaped, but its circular setup isn't just designed to be cool. The Heliotrope actually rotates, though unlike those novelty restaurants that make it hard for those with motion sickness to enjoy their sandwich, it doesn't do so every day, and only rotates 180 degrees. Added to that, it's solar-powered, and its rotation follows the sun. It faces the sun during the cooler months and turns its insulated back to the star during the hot times. This means that at all times, the Heliotrope is appropriately absorbing solar energy. It actually produces more energy than it uses, making it the first home in history to do so. Sadly, 25 years after it was built, it remains one of the few homes that do. Architect Rolf Dish, who designed the Heliotrope in 1994 and still lives there, leads a luxurious life, as well as an environmentally friendly one. The Heliotrope is huge, with tons of rooms, as well as a garden terrace, viewing deck, and naturally, a sun deck. Hey, who said saving the planet had to be uncomfortable?
Shout out to y'all for requesting this video. That shit was tight. I want a house like that. My mansion is gonna be modern, and it's gonna be something so different. I'm telling you that right now. My shit is gonna be something different too, bro. I might get something on the water. I really like that. That is so fucking dope. I would love to live on the water and have my house just like float around the water. I don't care if it's a 3-bedroom, 3-bathroom house on the water. That shit's still on the water. And it'll have floor-to-ceiling windows, and the windows will be protected too. Oh, that shit sounds so dope. I love the beach. I love the ocean, man. Anyway, great video. Thank y'all for requesting it. Let me know your thoughts. Long time. See y'all next time. Peace.